Which is more exhilarating, the risk or the reward? That's the question for Eddie Tipton, the man who pulled off the biggest lottery scam in American history. Eddie Tipton, an information security director for the Multi-State Lottery Association, found a way to cheat the system. He played Hot Lotto, a game where you buy a ticket and try to guess the 6 winning numbers, and the chances of winning are 1 in 11 million. Hot Lotto was one of the games Eddie's company ran. His job allowed him unfair access and prohibited him from buying a ticket. But over the course of a decade, Tipton got away with 5 separate scams on the Hot Lotto jackpot. In November of 2005, he won $4.8 million in the Colorado jackpot. This was his test to see if the loophole he had found would actually work. In 2006, he won $568,990 in the Texas jackpot. Then in 2007, he leveled up and won $783,257 in the Wisconsin jackpot. In December 2010, Eddie won 3 times with 3 separate tickets, 2 for $15,402 each in the Kansas jackpot and 1 for $16.5 million in the Iowa jackpot. His final score happened in 2011 when he won $644,478 in the Oklahoma jackpot. There were 10 years between the day Eddie Tipton started cheating the lottery and the day he got caught. During that time, he got away with over $23 million US. Naturally, there's only one mystery left. How did he do it? In 2010, 2 days before Christmas, a heavy-set man walked into a Quick Trip convenience store off Interstate 80 in Des Moines, Iowa. He kept his hood over his face and bought a soda, 2 hot dogs, and 2 Hot Lotto tickets. 6 days later, on December the 29th, the jackpot was $16.5 million, and the winning numbers were announced. Then the next day, the Iowa Lottery announced that the winning ticket was purchased in a Quick Trip in Iowa. But strangely, no one came forward to claim it. The Iowa Lottery had a news conference a month later to note that the money was still unclaimed. Then they issued public reminders after 3, 6, and 9 months. But no one came forward. Winners only have a year to claim their money. In November 2011, Philip Johnston, a Canadian attorney, called in the correct serial number for the winning ticket. But when they asked what he was wearing when he bought the ticket to verify his identity, he said a sports coat and grey flannel dress pants. In the second call, he admitted he lied and was helping a client claim the ticket, so he wouldn't be identified. Iowa lottery rules say the identities of winners must be made public, so they were convinced it wouldn't be claimed. Then exactly 1 year after the drawing, 2 hours before the 4 p.m. deadline, representatives from a Des Moines law firm showed up at the lottery headquarters with the winning ticket. The firm was claiming the prize on behalf of a trust whose beneficiary was a corporation in Belize. The kicker was, the president of that corporation was Philip Johnston, the same guy who tried to claim the prize a month prior. Something was off. So the Iowa State Lottery held on to the prize while the Attorney General's office opened an investigation. It went nowhere at first, but 2 years later, a district attorney named Rob Sand inherited the case. All he had was a grainy security video of a man in a hood buying a couple of hot dogs, but he released it to the media to find leads. One of his friends at the company, Jason Mayer, spent hours gaming with Eddie. He saw the video in the media and recognized Eddie's voice, but he didn't want to believe it. He cleaned up the audio file to make sure it was Eddie's voice, and he went to the Quick Trip and took measurements of the area so he could compare Eddie's size to the man in the video. But with all his evidence, he knew what his friend had done. Eddie was arrested in his offices in 2015 and charged with 2 counts of felony fraud. But the case was far from solved. Someone from Eddie's hometown in Texas saw his arrest in the newspaper and called DA Sand's office to tell him that Eddie's brother Tommy had won the lottery 10 years prior. Tommy was a justice of the peace in Texas in 2005, making $35,000 a year, meaning it would be very odd for him to have $500,000 in tow. A man he knew, Tom Vargas, owned 44 fireworks stands and would have tons of cash around 4th of July and New Year's. Tommy knew this, so when he won $500,000 at the state lottery illegally, he asked Tom to swap bills with him. Vargas saw the writing on the wall and called the police, who then passed it on to the FBI. When they eventually questioned Tommy about why he switched the bills, Tommy said he was on the outs with his wife and wanted to keep his winnings from her. A friend had claimed the money for him in exchange for 10%. It all seemed to add up, and the FBI closed the case. Sand's case blew open when he found out about Tommy's win. Not only was it probably connected to his brother Eddie, but it opened the possibility for more fraudulent tickets. It turns out Tommy had a trip to Colorado planned in 2005, when Eddie rigged his first lottery win. Tommy had claimed that one too. The Wisconsin jackpot in 2007 was claimed by Robert Rhodes, Eddie's best friend. A Texas man named Kyle Conn claimed the win in Oklahoma in 2011. Tommy Tipton had 3 Facebook friends named Conn, and San cross-referenced their numbers with Tommy's phone records. Another hit. Both of the winners in Kansas were friends of Eddie's. One of the Kansas winners, Amy Warwick, said Eddie told her he couldn't claim the ticket because of his job. He offered her a portion of the money as a gift for her engagement, if she claimed it for him. So now San knew how Eddie had stayed under the radar, but how did he get the winning numbers? After Eddie was arrested, it was found that the computers used in the 2007 Wisconsin scam were in storage. That was the smoking gun in San's case. Once Eddie was facing 10 years in jail, he spilled all of the secrets. He said the scheme started innocently. He had walked past an accountant at the Multi-State Lottery Association who asked Eddie if he had put his secret numbers into the game. The accountant pointed out to Eddie that he programmed the game. Therefore, he could decide what numbers were chosen. Once that seed was planted, Eddie decided to try it. The game was programmed to take numbers from a Geiger counter that measured radiation in the surrounding area. The radiation reading was plugged into an algorithm that spit out the winning numbers. The number of possibilities in that scenario is extremely large, so Eddie decided to limit how many numbers could be chosen. He created a code that would divert the random number generator away from the Geiger counter. Instead, the algorithm ran with the number Eddie chose, so the number of possible outcomes was a lot smaller and more predictable. Instead of millions of combinations, there were only a few hundred. Eddie's code only kicked in if it was a Wednesday or a Saturday evening. Those times generally fell near Memorial Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, and Eddie was usually on vacation. The night before his first rigged lottery in 2005, he stayed up in his office and wrote down every possible combination on a yellow legal pad. The next day, he gave it to his brother and told him to play every combination. In the end, Eddie accepted a plea deal. He took 1 count of ongoing criminal conduct, which was part of a package deal that gave his brother only 75 days in prison. During his sentencing, Eddie painted himself as a coding Robin Hood. He was stealing from the lottery to help people in need. His brother with 5 kids and his recently engaged friend who had a wedding to pay for. During the hearing, he seemed to rationalize his actions, like he didn't really break the law, he just took advantage of an opportunity. He was sentenced to a maximum of 25 years in prison, and his restitution for the multiple states' worth of fraud was $2.25 million, even though Eddie claims to have only kept $350,000. It seems like Eddie Tipton committed a white-collar crime because he was bored and he wanted to see if he could. But he was right in thinking the only way to win was to cheat. The chances of picking the 6 correct numbers are 1 in 300 million.